Let's talk about the Yemen Presidential Leadership Council, how it's connected to the Hadramaut National Council, and what does it mean for Intra Yemeni Dialogue. My name's Zahid Youssef. Welcome back to the Yemen Peace Initiative. This video builds on episode 2, which considered the establishment of the Hadramaut National Council and the risk of it creating further divisions between STC and IRG. In these videos, we use knowledge graphs to visualize how interests, relationships, and events are connected, so we can collectively deepen our understanding of ways to support peace efforts in Yemen. In this video, we will explore the divergent interests within the Presidential Leadership Council, and how, from these divergent interests, emerged the establishment of the Hadramaut National Council, hopefully giving us insights into potential developments and risks of future conflicts emerging, and providing a platform for you to ask more in-depth questions. The Presidential Leadership Council was formed in 2022 by the UAE and Saudi Arabia as a means to counter the threat of the Houthis and Al-Qaeda. The PLC included members from STC, Isla Party and IRG, and each member being supported by Saudi Arabia or UAE. Whilst the coalition had a common agenda, there were many other interests influencing their behaviours. STC factions supported a return to an independent South Yemen. Members from Isla Party, IRG and Tariq Saleh supported a more unified Yemen, whilst members from the oil-rich governorates, such as Hadramaut, advocated for an autonomous federal system within a unified Yemen framework. Meanwhile, the interests of UAE and Saudi Arabia, the backers of all these members and their armed forces, also differed. Saudi are interested in securing their border, as well as securing access to the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. UAE are also interested in securing vital supply lines, particularly along the ports, as well as countering the perceived threat of the Muslim Brotherhood that are represented by the Isla Party. As you can see, there are huge numbers of divergent interests, but also, in particular, 3 divergent visions of the future for Yemen: a unified Yemen, a north-south Yemen, and a more federalized Yemen. Now let's examine how these divergent interests could have played a role in the emergence of the Hadramaut National Council. Hadramaut is home to 80% of Yemen's oil reserves, and at the same time the government has a major coastline with strategic ports along the Gulf of Aden. For UAE and Saudi, these represent important trade routes and areas they need to have secure access to as they plan to withdraw from the conflict. For the STC, Isla Party and IRG, securing the oil reserves provides them with access to revenues, which will strengthen their position in future negotiations and their influence in the future vision of Yemen. And as a consequence, it's in the UAE's interests to maintain influence in Hadramaut through continued support to STC forces and Tariq Saleh forces. This increasing influence poses a threat to Saudi's interest to secure access to the coastal line. So in turn, they respond by increasing their support to IRG and Isla Party, and as a consequence, this is leading to a vicious cycle of violence in Hadramaut, as UAE-backed forces compete with Saudi-backed forces. Mixed into all of this are the Hadramaut factions. It remains unclear what is their makeup. However, their push for the establishment of the Hadramaut National Council allows them to reinforce their position and influence over this strategic governorate. Moving forward, we can see that the establishment of the council adds another dimension and makes the situation more complicated. How does the emergence of this new institution disrupt the increasing competition between IRG, Isla Party and Saudi Arabia on one side, and STC, UAE and Tariq Saleh forces on the other? So over to you. We want to hear from you. Do you think Saudi's establishment of the council is an effective strategy for containing UAE while it plans its withdrawal from the conflict? Do you think the establishment of the council will undermine the PLC and Intra Yemeni Dialogue? Post comments below or email us with your perspectives at yemenpeace@dialectic.org, or visit us at Patreon Yemen Peace Initiative, where you can join our community of experts in Yemen. The link is below.